back to the Lincoln Project. I'm your host, Reed Galen. Today, guys, I'm coming to you solo just for a quick one. There are a few things on my mind I wanted to start the week with and wanted to share with you. I think that a lot of what we're seeing out of the Republican Party is all born of one thing. That is Donald Trump is in trouble. We've known he's been in trouble legally, right? Financially, when it comes to whether or not he might go to prison. Hopefully we'll find out this year, but we might not, so we have to defeat him at the ballot box. But I think electorally, guys, when it comes down to the voters, as I've written a couple of times in the last few weeks over at the home front on Substack, that his base is small and shrinking and getting more toxic. Some of it is because he's made the party older and whiter and more male, and those tend to be the people who are dying the fastest, frankly, in this country. But also because the positions he takes on issues, whether or not it's choice, Ukraine, or whatever the case might be, or just his general behavior, are repellent to most normal Americans. And let's be clear, most Americans are still normal and decent. And so what does that mean for the rest of his party? Well, one, they're in trouble too. And so what we're seeing is that, yes, Donald Trump has not yet consolidated the voters in his party, but he certainly does own the GOP. And what we saw as we're recording this on Monday morning was yesterday, the United States Senate sent over a bipartisan bill on the U.S. border, right, that the Republicans have been screaming about for years, that they needed border security, needed more funding, needed more agents. James Lankford, a Republican from Oklahoma. Guys, this is not Mitt Romney, right? This is not John McCain. This is Lankford from Oklahoma, ruby red Oklahoma, the Sooner State, has been leading the negotiations on this. And all things considered, more conservative, far more conservative than my taste, but has been doing so near as I could tell in good faith. So he and Democrats in the United States Senate work together. They hammer out a bill. Not everyone will be happy. Welcome to governing. They send it over to the United States House. What does Speaker Mike Johnson of the Christian nationalist sect say? Bill's dead on arrival. Won't have anything to do with it. Not even going to come up for a vote. This, in addition to the idea that he is now going to kill funding for Ukraine's continuing fight against Russia. Now, how do we bring all this together? Okay. It's pretty simple, although it seems complicated at first. First, Donald Trump runs the party. Donald Trump has told the likes of Mike Johnson and Mitch McConnell that he wants to run on immigration as an issue this year. Therefore, the likes of Mike Johnson are never going to allow an immigration bill to come up for a vote. Why? Because they don't want to give Joe Biden a win. That's their words. Why would we do anything to help Joe Biden? Not why would we do anything to help the American people or solve a problem. And believe me, guys, it is a problem at the border that should be addressed substantively, efficiently, humanely, when that's bad for our guy, right? Even though your guy is the human equivalent of penis cancer, right? Like nothing good comes from him. Never has, never will. And I stole that line from The Holdovers. So that's where I got that expression, as crude as it might be. And so you see that, right? Then why don't Republicans want funding for Ukraine? Or I should say House Republicans want funding for Ukraine. Well, because, of course, as we've known since the beginning, that Donald Trump is in hock to Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin very much wants Donald Trump back. If Russia does better against Ukraine, that's good for Putin. If Donald Trump does better here in the United States, that's good for Putin. And Putin will help Trump. And Mike Johnson, again, Christian nationalist, is perfectly happy to go along with all of this. It has nothing to do with decency or policy or doing the right thing. It has everything to do with naked power and ambition, guys. That's all this is. We should not underestimate these people. They are willing to say and do anything. And so now it's up to all of us, gang, to make sure that Republicans don't get away with it. They don't get away with their hypocrisy on the border. And they don't get away with their inhumanity on the border, or their inhumanity and their lack of ability to understand what it means to be the leader of the democratic world, because a lot of these people don't believe in democracy when it comes to Ukraine. And so we should hold that up as a mirror. And why should we do that? Because remember, guys, that Republicans have no interest in governing. They only have an interest in ruling. And there is a difference there. Governing means you have to work together. Ruling means you can tell other people what to do, and if they don't do it, you can sanction them. Prison, harm, reputational destruction, whatever the case might be, right? And so I think that this is one of those things where, as I have said before, Republicans are doing everything they can to avoid their worst possible outcome, which is a blowout by Donald Trump. And because they have so hewn their line to his, that's exactly what they're headed for. All right. Before I go, guys, we're going to do a series over the course of the next couple of weeks on people like Mike Johnson, Christian nationalists, evangelicals. We have a lineup of incredible guests who are going to explain to us how, as I've just described, in, maybe complicated terms, but also in really understanding how all of these things tie together, how the Republican Party has really become a fully funded subsidiary of the white Christian evangelical church, how they now run the asylum. It's not guys like me who worked there for 20 years when I was a kid. Now these people run the party, and their priorities are the party's priorities. And so I hope you'll tune in. I hope you'll do everything you can to make sure that in your state, in your town, in your community, you're helping, whether or not that's being a poll worker, whether or not that's signing up for the League of Women Voters, whether or not that's registering voters, whether or not that is going door to door, working with us here at the Lincoln Project or at the Union or with one of your other local political groups. I hope you'll get involved, right, guys? It doesn't take all of us, but it will take enough of us. As always, everybody can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Reed Galen, on Threads and Instagram at Reed_Galen_LP, and Substack at the Homefront. As always, everybody, we'll see you next time. I'm looking forward to this next series. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again to everyone for listening. Be sure to follow and subscribe to The Lincoln Project on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or however you listen. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review. To connect with us, follow us on Twitter at Project Lincoln, and for more information on our movement, to join our mailing list, subscribe to our newsletter, or make a contribution to our efforts, visit lincolnproject.us. If you want to message the podcast directly, please send an email to podcast@lincolnproject.us. And if you want to personally join the fight to save our nation's democracy, visit jointheunion.us. For the Lincoln Project, I'm Reed Galen. I'll see you on the next episode.